Hey everyone, good morning, and thank you for asking us to come talk about our Ask with PassiveHaus today. My name is Maylynn, and in the photo is also my husband Chris, who usually gives these talks, but couldn't join today because he's away for work, unfortunately, and our three kids, Frankie, Axel, and Zachary, who are in the back there trying their very best to be patient. Ask with location, I think you're all quite familiar with it, but when we moved from the CBD. We lived in Woolloomooloo in a unit, and did a lot of research on where to go, and we chose Asquith because it had a lot of good things going for it, not too far from the CBD, really good connections with the train, close to national parks. The house itself is just 400 meters away from, from Asquith train station. Lots of things around, as I mentioned, and you all know we live in a beautiful council area. So we used a PassiveHaus certified architect and builder, which is what you need to do if you want a PassiveHaus, because they've done the certification and training to achieve it, which involves having a mechanical ventilation and heat recovery system, which I'll go through a bit more, machine, and ducting to each room, airtight membrane and taping, good windows, and good insulation. It's actually pretty basic, and for like where I grew up in Canada, having insulation and double glazing is pretty standard. It's not as standard here, I know, even though a lot of people wish it was in the winter time, I think. And in Sydney climate, it didn't actually take a lot more to achieve PassiveHaus certification, just a bit more in terms of the airtight membrane and taping, which is that extra step for PassiveHaus. So PassiveHaus certification also makes PassiveHaus homes eligible for a discounted mortgage rate, and this is what we used through Bank Australia. We got a clean energy home loan, and that saved us some money and allowed us to do the whole project. Timeline, I mentioned, we bought the site in 2016, did a lot of research and trying to get plan together, trying to get a house design that would fit within our budget. But then the actual construction went really quickly, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. So when we moved into Asquith in 2016, we had Frankie was born, Axel was on the way, Zachy didn't exist yet. There's an embarrassing photo of us in matching pajamas a few Christmases ago. So the kids are now actually 9, 7, and 4. And the old house had its limitations. It was a little place. It was cold and drafty, had a small bathroom, no bathtub. That's a newborn Zachy getting bathed in the sink. That's you, buddy. And that's Frankie and Axel in the bathtub, in the shower. We knew we needed a bigger place with kind of better setup for families, but we bought it knowing we were going to do a knockdown and a rebuild eventually once we could afford it, saved up for the deposit on the construction loan and all that. So the old house, super hot in the summer and super cold in the winter, and this is just a graph showing that. Sometimes it was absolutely baking, particularly in Frankie's bedroom, which was like a little greenhouse. Usually too hot, sometimes comfortable in the summer, but generally up there in terms of heat. This summer 2019, super hot. That was a hot year too. And that was the year of a lot of bushfires. We all were inhaling bushfire smoke the entire summer. Also really cold, so it was 6 degrees inside, or 6 degrees outside, 12 degrees inside. You can sit there. And it was just, we couldn't really heat it up enough with an electric heat panel heater. It just didn't work. Maybe we could get one room kind of warm, but not really. This is a problem a lot of people have. And our kids were just cold. This is just an average morning, hanging out, trying to watch TV. So similarly in the winter, cold, generally quite cold. Sometimes comfortable, pretty rarely. It had standard problems that these older houses have. A lot of condensation. This is Frankie's room in the morning. Couldn't see out the windows because the condensation dripping down the windowsills, black mold growing. When we tore the house down and took some bits apart, we could see the extent of the black mold. So that's in the ceiling above the bathroom, where it could just live and grow in that warm, moist climate. Old system, high energy bills as we tried to heat and cool the place. Energy bills were high, even though the house was small, and we were fairly economical with it, about $640 per quarter, $2,600 per year. It would be more now with the increased electricity prices, I'm sure. So with all these issues, we knew that we wanted to, in the house that we built, try and resolve this and have a better environment to live in. But back in 2016, there was a limited pool of architects and builders to choose from who could do Passive House and no local market experience in delivering them. So we were trying to find a pathway where we could achieve this. We hired an architect initially, but it didn't work out. Basically, going through a custom architect at that point for something sustainable, they wanted to create this like an architectural standout luxury home, basically. Drew up some beautiful plans, but they couldn't work for us, and we tried to modify them in terms of size. They even said, build the lower story now and add on to it later when you can afford it. And that's just not practical. It wasn't a solution for us. We couldn't afford it unless it was tiny or, some split build solution like that. So we were looking at volume builders then, approaching the volume builder companies to see if they could do it for us. We would have had to get them trained in doing the airtight membrane and stuff. Chris did so much research on different plans that could work potentially. We actually put a deposit down on one from Montgomery Homes who said they could modify the plans for us the way we wanted. They would try to do the airtight membrane, but because they weren't certified, it couldn't be a certified Passive House, they couldn't guarantee anything. It was basically like, you might accomplish some of your goals this way. It's a maybe, and we decided that we wouldn't go that way. So we waited, and because we really wanted a Passive House, and that includes features like the thermal insulation. It says Passive House windows, but really just double glazing, adequate ventilation, air tightness, and I'll explain why that is a good thing later, and thermal bridging from the interior to the exterior. Chris created his own model in SketchUp to model code what we were looking for, and you can see it ended up being really similar to what we built, a big solar array on the house. We engaged Envirotecture Architects and Superior Construction as our architect and builder. Here they are sitting around a table. Developed the concept design with them, which is this, and here are the plans. I'll just talk you through quickly. This is the ground level. There is the main entrance is sort of at the top there in between the guest room and study. There's a gym behind the study, a combined kitchen, dining, living room. The guest room is also a study, and that big room off on the left is the shed, the man cave, which is the largest room in the house. On top of the shed, there's a green roof, and upstairs we have a rumpus room and four bedrooms, the master, and then 3 of the kids' bedrooms so that everyone has enough space. Ironically, the big kids then decided they wanted to share a room, but everyone technically has a bedroom. The elevations of the house, front and back. And the walls and roof, we decided to use a modular prefabricated wall and roof panel system through a company called Carbon Light, which is based in Melbourne. And they're a Passive House certified component manufacturer. And the benefit of this, which you'll see in a time-lapse series of photos we have, is it saves time on construction. It's really cool. It's Australian made. They use sustainable timber, and it's zero carbon. The whole factory, actually, the whole company is carbon negative. Is that the term? Not just carbon neutral, which is cool. And this was really good for us also because we started the plans pre-COVID, and then COVID happened, and there were a lot of delays in building. But because the wall and roof panels were being made in a factory in Melbourne, we didn't have to delay. We didn't run into any delays because they were able to build them. And that's just more of what the panels look like. And this is a little time lapse of demolition. I'll just quickly go through. So old house, knocked down, foundations curing, shed, foundations being poured, scaff going up, panels arrived, getting craned in, getting put together by our builder. From the time the panels arrived to lockable frame, it was 3 days. 3 days. So we were out of the house, like when we moved out to move into the new house, we were only out for 8 months. It was quick, which was great because of this panel system. And it's, so it was really quick and also a very efficient way to do it. ventilation system provides fresh air. The house is airtight. It's got a membrane. I mentioned the ventilation system provides fresh air through the whole house 24/7, very low energy and no noise. It's great. It keeps the CO2 low, keeps the airborne particulates low. That's where it lives in the laundry room. Keeps the air fresh and better air quality inside than most Australian houses. You can put a HEPA filter in as well. It filters out smoke particles, so when there's bushfires, you actually can avoid having the smoke inside the house. We'll keep going. So no, because of the ventilation airtightness, no condensation on windows or in the structure. You can open all the windows if you want. Like the windows open, we have ceiling fans. There's reverse cycle air conditioning, which we don't have to use very much, and it's very efficient. Heat pump, hot water, that's just the green roof here. The rainwater tanks buried under the driveway. The rainwater is used for irrigation in the gardens and flushing the toilets. Australian native timber for the flooring and native plants on the green roof. Induction cooktop, drenchers, which we added in for bushfire safety, even though we're not in a high-risk zone. Fruit trees, bee-friendly garden. Chris loves his automatic robot mower, which isn't a sustainability feature, but he just loves it. Food growing. We've got chickens who live under the trampoline. We had bees in the old place, and there's a spot for bees at the new place, but we don't have them yet. The lecture items, we like Japanese toilets, and Chris added a fancy shower mixer as like his, I want this in the new house. There's the e-bike that we used to get around. And just quickly to say, we also designed it to meet an accessibility standard for the bottom guest room. So you can roll a wheelchair in. There's no steps to get in. There's no lip to the front door, so it's accessible, which is handy for prams, also for wheelchairs in future, or if you need to be accessible for injury or anything like that. A lot of solar. I mentioned 20 kilowatt system, and these are our ratings. So we got certified PassiveHaus Premium. And it was a pilot project for Green Star Homes, the first one in the world. I talked about that stuff. Here's our team, architect Through Fire Texture and Superior Constructions with Jamie. We've got links. I'll circulate the slides so you can get them, but we've got magazine articles and some YouTube videos you can look at, and just a few more pictures of the house before I wrap up. Outside. This was taken for an architectural magazine, which is why it's super clean. It does not look like this normally. This is from the backyard, looking at the house. So big French doors can open, which we do it's handy when you have people over or kids running in and out. Kitchen, there's the induction cooktop, dining and living area. Nice big windows. These came from Poland. We couldn't get them manufactured locally. They're actually the first thing we bought with our own money. Before we got any loans or mortgages, we had to buy the windows so they could be made and shipped over. So we committed to that. And I was like, if this doesn't work out, we're going to have a shipping container full of windows. That's it. Living, stairwell, master bedroom, lots of nice light. Rumpus room out to the green roof. Thanks, buddy. Kids' bedroom, Chris's study, and that's it. There are links to our architects and builders. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them anytime. Thank you,
Maylynn. That's fantastic.